Joining the Swedish Embassy in Cairo on this special day with roots centuries back, honoring our democracy. For me, this day is also a farewell after 5 years full of experiences and events I should never have imagined. What took us Swedes centuries to achieve, Egypt is trying to achieve at a turbo speed. Relations between Sweden and Egypt also date centuries back. Not only do we know that trade took place 1,000 years ago, it is specifically established that the Swedish king Magnus Eriksson sold falcons for hunting purposes to the then Sultan of Cairo already in 1345, 700 years ago. Swedish scientists, such as the botanist and freedom of expression activist Peter Forsskål, were in Egypt in the middle of the 18th century. And the first modern business deal we can trace, in fact a company present here today, goes back more than 120 years. Since these times, the relations between Egypt and Sweden have widened and deepened. Today they include multilateral and bilateral affairs in all kinds of sectors, from politics and economics to sectors such as creative art. We're proud to expand our cooperation to new areas and to new and not least young groups, both women and men. Swedish business is not only in Egypt since a long time, but the individual companies operate here with integrity, with passion and with endurance. Together with Business Sweden, the embassy is cooperating with the Swedish companies and with their local partners. I'm often struck with how well respected they are among their partners. Egypt is, since its revolution from January 25, 2011, still in transition, probably for years to come. There's nothing strange in that. Real transitions do take time. I believe all Egyptians ultimately want to see a real, true democracy, inclusive for all citizens, irrespective of gender, age, religion, way of life, ethnicity, and so forth. Sweden, together with our EU partners, shares this vision and wants to stand together with you in this difficult and necessary transformation. But only you Egyptians yourselves can ultimately take responsibility for the destiny of your great nation. For me, it's now 5 years in your country. What I have witnessed together with so many of you is unique, thrilling, and extraordinary. But it's also challenging. Real democracy is not only about rights, but also about responsibilities. And respect for human rights is about the state's responsibility to protect each one of its citizens and not to protect itself from its citizens. Real democracy can only be achieved and sustained through a strong and vibrant civil society. There will always be challenges on this, also in democracies, as we can witness throughout the world these days. Also in Sweden, some weeks ago, citizens who felt left out protested in a violent way. But it can only be dealt with through dialogue, openness, and real inclusiveness. For Egypt, I have always been optimistic, and I remain optimistic in a long-term perspective. Let me thank all Egyptians present and all other Egyptians I've met during my time for your great generosity towards me as Swedish ambassador and towards me as a guest in your country. On a personal level, I've always felt so welcomed, so encouraged, and so safe. To all my diplomatic colleagues and to the representatives from the international community, I want to thank you for good cooperation, also on difficult issues at difficult times. To the Swedish community, I want to thank you for the way you act as a bridge between your two home countries, Sweden and Egypt. You certainly add to deep relationship between the two countries. And please bear with me, I also want to thank my fantastic embassy staff and my household staff, whether Swedish or Egyptian, in public. Without your skills, your networks, your creativity, your patience, and most of all, your loyalty, I would not have been able to carry out my duties. Finally, there are 3 people here that must be named. The reason for this is that we worked very closely together for the past years, and now they go with me. Helmer Broberg is the Counselor for Economy, Trade and Culture. He's kept an important supervision over consular affairs and is in charge of the important contingency planning. Alexander Rydmark is the Counselor for Political and for Press Affairs. Your network in Cairo is probably one of the strongest ones in the diplomatic corps. Eva Persson. Eva Persson is First Secretary, Head of Chancellery and also responsible for migration affairs. In your next posting, you will be Counselor. Congratulations. You've developed the migration section to the benefit of everybody concerned. You always find solutions without breaking the rules. Your creativity has saved me and the embassy many times, and your sense of responsibility and loyalty has been most important. So, also thank you for these years. The four of us went through the revolution together, day and night. I need not tell all of you here what that meant in very many different ways. There is a link between the four of us forever since, but now it is time for the four of us to go and let other strong colleagues take over. It's a closely knit team that leaves Cairo together and then disperses. I, on my side, will return to our capital, Stockholm, but I am already looking forward to coming back to Cairo as a visitor and a guest in order to meet all Egyptian international friends. And I'm also looking forward to following from afar your path towards a prosperous and democratic Egypt, strong through its people, strong through visions, and strong through social justice. Once again, thank you for a remarkable time in Egypt. Shukran.